Alright, y'all wanted repetitive warring, video number 2. Alright, after the other video in last year's flow work and how some of the overload and amounts in different areas were being caught and worked on, we were stumbling across traces of other-sided warring, which is our other sides fighting and whatnot, which is not supposed to be happening. And the misuse of amounts of that stuff also has been apparent throughout the country and a little bit of Canada, and actually traceable and trackable to different styles of repetitive warring. I guess it mainly depends if you're clanly or if you're tribal, me a multiple bloodline, so sometimes it's a different style of a mix, and sometimes it's also other bloodlines using other bloodlines, or other bloodlines using specific styles of people's parts and bloodlines to make that stuff happen, and or neutralize and or fix against people's will. And we've been coming across that since the last video that I made last year. A lot has happened throughout the country. Right now I'm in Mountain Home, Idaho. There's some different styles of flow work from here, and intentions and some mess ups of other people's, and anger, and traceable links from here to several other states, and torture 134, which is what kind of happened last year a little bit when some of us got called. We just didn't realize it at first fully, and some of it kind of co-flows with what happened to me and my family 11 years ago, which was having massive amounts dropped on me and my family and several other people I know and love too. And with repetitive warring comes repetitive setups and ill intentions, and some of my other friends' families were sucked down that path also. There's several styles to that stuff. It's not just gang ups and amounts and making people do what you want them to do. It's also sexual stuff also sometimes, and I am an all the right way Gemini male. And we've also been coming across some problems with children in the womb, which was a big part of the problem from 11 years ago when I first got hammered also. I was being aimed at my unborn daughter, and the same repetitive cycle just kind of went down for my ex-wife and my friend BI and their newborn Gemini baby. And some of us got called back to New York State after some of the flow work we were discussing from the Pennsylvania and the East Coast side, for our all-natural seer sides, to catch quite a few major problems. The misuse of torture 134, the 3 and 4 part being the misuse of animals and dead people and other amounts and mixtures of double shots of number 2, which is other people's parts and or amounts and at the same time. So a lot of us had to kind of show up to New York State, and we got to see a movement of a forced style, which was the misuse of anger and hostility and dead people, and some wraith stuff, which is some spiritual realm stuff also, and some of the other videos I've been coming across, which had some of my friends' families sucked up in and being ran and chased after and ganged up on, which cost them their baby son in a repetitive cycle. And I lost a son to that same exact cycle 11 years ago, and we finally caught that shit, and it's actually provable in sensory and signals now. And there's a lot of other stuff also, so I'm not going to talk about all of it, but because it wasn't just 1 or 2 specific people, it's actually handfuls of people in multiple groups. And with some of this other repetitive stuff, like my dinosaur era memories, when they were uprooted out of my tribe, it's another thing after I went home for the flow change this year. Got called home Mohawk. Me and Steph went up there and got all our stuff done perfect. A couple of other friends of ours, we found the repetitive knife fight, which was nationwide also, and misuse for mass creation of amounts to make knife fights and stuff happen. And we got that beat also with several officers, bikers, and other people with other ways of life and different jobs. And there's been a lot of stuff happening. Ultimately, a bunch of years ago, we had a whole lot of more amounts, a whole lot of more warring and fighting, and we pretty much got called and stumbled across other people setting off old styles that are nothing but mass creation of amounts. And some people utilize those ways and those styles on one another, and most people really don't anymore. You know, it's why a lot of us kind of went in a long time ago to stop that stuff and to ultimately kind of get along. And, you know, it's seeming like a lot of the different movements and flows that I've been sensing and coming across the country are in different time periods. It's like saying, like the situation I have right now. It was in result to a repetitive warring setup, not just the show and not just the government, also people in society over anger amounts and hide the evidence styles and setups for trying to extort people out of money and misuse of the show as like a war weapon when the show is really not like that. And so there's a lot of people still a little angry, and we're still in the middle of this shit like right now as we speak. But at least it's more understandable and there's more awareness. Now, for the country or parts of the country where you had to like sense my dinosaur memories, like when the planet got ended in the dinosaur era, 'cause I need to talk about this for a minute. I got confronted down in Texas about it because I'm half tribal, and I had to explain to them how it actually happened, because I wouldn't knowingly do that, and now I got all kinds of jokers trying to translate. Well, not all of them are jokers, but trying to translate my dinosaur memories and the reason why the planet got ended. And honestly, you know, I am another good one, so I'm gonna be honest with everybody that sees this. It's the real right way. It's other-sided warring and fighting and arguing and meanness and nastiness and misuse of sadisticness, and then ultimately other people getting down, or I should say the repetitive good and bad angel in a repetitive cycle. That also got caught also. Different setups for people that happen to be one, I guess, or people that happen to see them. And a lot of times it's our all-natural seer sides getting caught out of timing or in specific forced flows and also free choice flows, and then ran through sensory and signals. And when you're a multiple bloodline, it ain't just one bloodline. Like we kind of covered this a little bit with the last video last year, and but we found that cycle. It came through in a repetitive cycle in Canada a couple months ago, and also kind of the setup for when a husband and wife don't have parts that match up, and excuse me, they're trying to create a child with our other sides. And in our family, we kind of had a problem with that a bunch of years ago also, and some of my friends, because the normal all-natural lineup process was being like double compromised, so that people were being lined up with the wrong people and the wrong bloodlines. And I really think it was kind of on purpose with some, not all. And I actually know it was, because, you know, I do have to translate that shit sometimes, and people were knowingly doing it to cause fights and arguments at a later date. And also me and my buddy Brad and his family caught it also. A few others too. It's very unfortunate. Yeah, well, now I'm kind of sensing that they don't want that being talked about when it's a little too late. You know, I'm up there dealing with whole tribes, including the Blackfeet tribe and the Pima Yaqui and a few others, you know, because I am Mohawk, and we will not lie about this shit. You know what I mean? Like, we are not having that. Just because a handful of mental health guys tried running a flow and got caught, to have people ganged up on. It's the real truth that is the real right way of these situations. It's not just on the body. Like when you have spiritual flow on the body, or being aimed at certain parts of the body, because I'm probably going to discuss that next. It's the misuse of bloodlines also to make people sick, to make sickness happen, and or ultimately death. And we've been coming across certain ones of people trying to line that stuff up. And last year, in those flows from the last video, there was some of that going on. And some of the crews out there really have different jobs. You know, it's not just police officers, it's not just actors, it's not just singers, it's not just truckers, tattoo artists, presidents, cops, CIA, KG fucking B. You know what I mean? I've been worldwide like since I was a child, you know. I am friends with those guys also, you know, I have to be honest. You know, it's not just an underworld like bar thing or a church thing, you know. The real truth is the real right way. And I got to keep this video short. That's how we lost video number 2 in January. But I'll probably be making another video here soon. There's several other things they want me to talk about, like the misuse of amounts to make bad stuff happen, like rapes and murders and child molestation and amounts, and neutralization of those amounts, because some of us really do handle those jobs, and some of us got pretty ganged up on and messed up just to do our jobs, and ultimately we found out some of the other people really weren't even the cause. They were mainly mad because they didn't want to get used for that stuff, you know, or forced, because it's still, again, the misuse of mass creation of amounts. And with some of the other stuff, some of you people are sensing like different styles of misuse of bloodlines. We now have some photographs of it. I'm not going to put them online because I'm dealing with some multi-layers out here also with electronical drawing. Some of the other trucker flow that you came across also co-flows of last year, and there was electronical drawing actually in this specific truck. I'm going to show you guys something here. This is my rig that I'm in now. Last year we were in an automatic, but that specific shifter right there has an electronical speed control built into it, and the wiring harness, which is right here, had an electronical drawing where some of our sides were coming up through the floor and was causing some of our flow to end up on the shifter, which would be some of our other sides building, and then having to build too much, and then having to move in an H pattern. And this specific truck that had that singled out problem, this shifter also has a half twist. So some of our flow is ending up in a half twist, some of our other sides. So if some of you people are coming across that, just back up with a feeling and a signal, whoever you're working with or whatever, and just realign. You know, because some of that was actually coming across in the heart area and the penis area as well, and vagina. I'm actually on a couple of other crews that are in and out of those flows sometimes. And yes, we love you, Miss E. I'll call you. Anyway, that's it. Number's still the same if you guys have any questions. Other than that, you guys all stay safe and try to stay friends with one another without fighting and stuff. Later.